Hello everyone, this is Jai High from Couch and Keyboard, and we are back with another Smash player profile, this time with Joshman. Also known as Sora or Little Trick Shot, Joshman has become one of the best in the world, recently ranking as number 4 for the 2025 Melee Top 100. Very, very impressive. People know him as a really funny guy, just kind of social with a lot of different people. But he's also just a really good gamer. Mainly for Smash, he's been a little bit of a PM here and there. Uh, we'll enter a few events for PM. Nothing too crazy. Uh, Plays a little bit of Marth, DK, Sheik. But people mainly know him from Fox. And he's become one of the best Foxes in the world. And so let's kind of get into that. So as far as I'm aware, his start was, in Australia, and he started to kind of get a taste of the real world, America, mainly due to this guy right here, Don B. Now, Don B was a player who wanted to move to America, specifically SoCal, to get more experience. Now, Don B eventually, didn't quite get to that upper echelon of play, but met a lot of friends, mostly known for the Bad Midley podcast with Slime and Dawson, a TO in SoCal. And I used to watch this show all the time, very funny. And so when I heard that Don B kind of co-signed Sora, or whoever they were calling him at the time, it was like, oh, very interesting. Now, Joshman, nothing too crazy to start off his career. We see, a couple, like Zio's a solid win, beating some of the best in Australia, like SA Nick, stuff like that. Nothing too crazy. Continually to do very good in region. Got some JoJo wins here and there. A lot of Don B wins, SA Nick, etc. Did finally get a somewhat notable win in 2019. Also beat Jace, pretty good SoCal Falcon, enough to be honorable mention in 2019, which same as Curb, who I just mentioned in my best Game and Watch mains of all time video. But so 2019 got at least on the board with something notable, like tangibly based on rankings, but not that much. As we see here, did go to Genesis and did get top 64, losing to Moki in that part of the bracket. Not bad at all. Moki was not quite as known at the time. I forget if this is the Genesis that Moki beat Chudat in that crazy upset. Either this one or the one before. Either way, for the 187 seed, doing very well getting to this point. So very good there. Entered more locally, started going back a little bit. Did all right in 2020. This was a pre-Genesis event, only losing to Facial and Kadoran, beating Zio and Curve. Pretty good there. And then Genesis didn't go quite as well as previous year, losing to Fox Ditto, losing to Boyd and to the Ice Climbers, but did get a win on Puff and Falco, pretty decent wins there. And then COVID hit, had to go back to Australia, started entering a little bit here and there. Did all right, moved back, got voted into Smash Summit 12. Smash Summit 11 was the big one, but did get in for 12, a pretty big one after as well. Beat Ginger and Null as the second to last seed. That's pretty solid. Lost to some good players. Losing to Zane and Kadoran, into Marth, losing to Pikachu. I think Pikachu can be sometimes a little tough for Foxes with less experience. Lost to SFAT Game 5 in the Ditto. Pretty good there. Also, Smash World Tour Championships in 2021 was a huge deal with getting players to come out from all arounds. And there's a lot of qualifiers, and was invited and was able to beat Ben and also beat Axe. Now, Axe was seated pretty low, I think partially due to having poor showings online, and then also not that great offline either. But I mean, Axe is known to be very good. A bounce back from losing this matchup against Swift and beating Axe. It's a pretty big deal. Lost to Face Roll again. Lost to Jmook, which he was actually seated above Jmook here. But Jmook would later make his splash a few months later at Genesis. Now he had moved to SoCal at this point and was starting to get, pretty notable. If we look at this kind of year, like 2021, there were no official rankings. So you kind of just went off of local rankings. And losing to Fiction in SoCal, all hell Fiction. He is very strong, especially in region. But did do pretty good. Doing good at against some Spaceys. And yeah. Now, this Genesis was not very strong. Lost to Crudo and Jwick, a pretty strong Arizona Marth. And Crudo was, later would become very good. So not a bad thing there. Did all right. Got voted in to Smash Summit 13. Went 0-4, unfortunately. Lost to some Falcons. Lost to Mango. Went Game 5 with Jmook. Good there. I think people were really convinced after seeing Jmook beat Joshman so frequently that Joshman would just never beat Jmook. It was just a matchup that was really tough. And we saw, kind of like a local / regional type thing to where he lost to SUJ twice. Did beat Kadoran though. That was good to get a Marth win. Beat Lucky in the Ditto. Beat Nut. Very solid overall. Starting to do pretty consistently. And I mean, Gommel 2022 was his breakout, I'd say. Was getting some good wins, but I mean, look, beat Fat Tino, solid win there. Beat KJH, all right, pretty good. Beat AMSA. That's not normal. I mean, this is in top 24, top 32 part of bracket. That is pretty unusual. Loses to Jmook, sure, okay. You have a problem with Jmook. Beats Null, done that before. Beats Moki. Huh, all right. Beats Cody Schwab. Cody was really starting to break out. Had a really strong performance over Slippy. Got 4th for this year and known to be very good. Had some weakness in the Fox Ditto against Axel and other people, but another Fox kind of coming out of nowhere and doing well in multiple different matchups, but especially this Fox Ditto here. Very impressive. They lose to Zane. But that's to be expected. Zane very good in the Marth Fox matchup. But didn't do very good at Phantom. It would kind of bounce back and forth. At LSI, did qualify a little bit lower than expected. Did beat Dawson, then lost to Lunar Dusk. Now this was at a point to where Joshman, being friends with Ludwig and Slime kind of involved with Don B in his old podcast. So he knew them pretty well, and so he had the chance, and at this event was seated number 1, but he was trying to do this thing called smash boxing alongside of chess boxing, one of Ludwig's events. Now Joshman was kind of messing around and ended up breaking his arm. So and people know against against ice climbers, you probably want to try and mash out of their grab early on. Now, sometimes for wobbling, it was okay, past a certain percent, it's impossible unless they mess up. But there's more grab exchanges in handoffs. So being able to mash out does increase your chances, but he just couldn't. Did lose to another ice climber here against Slug. Beat Magi, beat Laud, beat Null again. Lost to AMSA, SFAT, Slug, and Wizrobe. Not bad losses at all. SFAT was pretty good at this point. But yeah, seemed to be a little bit weaker in Ice Climber and Falcon matchups. Had a little bit of a tough main stage, losing to SFOP and Skurzo, which are both good. But I mean, they had high expectations. 0-2 at Skunk World Tour. That was kind of unfortunate, but I mean, pull up losing early, that's tough. Was able to beat Magi again, also beat Panda, losing to Zane and S2J. Was able to end this year at number 19. A pretty big premiere after getting just barely off the cut in 2019. So good stuff there. Went back to Australia. Was in Canada for a little bit. And, Battle LBC, nothing too crazy. Lost to Jmook and Aklo. beat Triff, solid. Combo breaker. This was when a rivalry between Magi and Joshman kind of solidified. They had played in the past. Magi winning this event. Joshman, felt in some ways to be a pretty solid favorite here. So despite seeded a little lower, I feel like Joshman was like, okay, we expect Joshman to win. Also, sometimes FGC seeding can be a little bit off. But Magi winning this was kind of a big deal, and it was surprising. Tipped off, a little bit weak, but losing to Moki and Jmook. I think Jmook had lost to Moth early on, and so, yeah, like, that's not his fault. But then LACS got this Leffen win. Also Spark, but mainly Leffen. That was a big deal. Leffen being someone who revolutionized the Fox matchup, or the Fox Ditto, pre-COVID, but also lost to Moki and lost to Swift again. Barely losing the Game 5 to HBox as well. So there were still, a few flaws here and there, but he was able to get these wins. That was just very surprising. Did get an Aklo win, and I mentioned earlier, Aklo very solid at the Fox Ditto at this point. Beat Pipsqueak, Rix. This was a round robin pool, like tons of matches, and did lose to Amsa and Zane. Amsa he's beaten before, Zane he hadn't, but still a good run to 5th place. A couple majors didn't do too hot. Ultimately, some not great performances. So despite some of these really good wins, got the same exact placing here for the ranking at number 19. So a little disappointing because he had good wins, but not very good losses sometimes. But was still very good. And then was able to beat Crudo twice at this. This was a nice, starting to do well against some of the more regional threats. Also at Collision, was able to beat Aklo, SDJ, Wally, and Salt. Salt being someone to where Joshman struggled a little bit, and the Falcon matchup was able to beat Salt, a big deal. Took Triff to Game 5. Triff was starting to do better. Took Cody to Game 5 and say, okay, almost beat this guy twice. That's very good. Also beat Swooper. Swooper being someone that can upset some players. Sometimes you gotta be careful. Does have a Cody win. Mango in Progress had this crazy good run. Lost a curve early, but had a lot of really good wins here, taking Mango to Game 5. See, despite him losing to Magi, he beat Magi here 3-0 and almost beat Mango. This was a pretty big deal. Battle of BC beats Jmook. Finally gets that Jmook win. And losing to HBox and Cody to get 7th, I mean, that's not bad. I'm pretty sure Cody, this was I forget if this was Bing. This might have been Sunsei. Yeah, Sunsei. I think Bing was at Gommel. And so, yeah, sometimes he just got a little bit unlucky with the bracket. Had some lower placings here and there. Lost to S2J in the Falcon matchup. Lost to Malachi against his Peach. Struggled here and there. There'd be some really good wins. Then some kind of, not too great. And Supernova, I think he is known for losing this tournament in pretty crazy fashion to Junebug in winners semis. Very crazy placing for Junebug, good stuff. But he beat Quang right before, also beat Jmook and Spark. He had a good run to this point. So I think that people kind of think about the one loss. There's still value here. I mean, beating Jmook and losing to Junebug, that at least offsets in my mind. That's not bad. And then you lose to HBox and losers, that's fine. That happens. Doing fine here and there. Winning the function over Aklo, Kador, and SGJ Chem. That's pretty solid. LMMM does beat Salt again. Loses to Fiction, one of his SoCal rivals. Actually beats Fiction in Grands at this Verdugo. So that's okay. He's starting to beat Fiction in his home turf. That's pretty good. Now, Don't Park was a crazy bracket, mainly due to Nikki. But there was a lot of Foxes involved as well. Aklo and Moki also having very good runs. And, had this crazy losers run here after losing to Aklo. Also beating Zamu Lod BZ earlier. Beat Jmook. Beat SGJ. Beat HBox. This HBox win was a big deal. Now, again, the upset right after feels like, oh, it's a bad tournament. But no, he's beating H-Box. Like, that is certainly very good. I think this is better for Nikki than it's bad for Joshman. Like, yeah, you think the upset factor is a little bit bigger here, but I do think that, like, Joshman ultimately benefited a lot from this H-Box win. And, also, Now Invitational. This was kind of a weird bracket. There was a couple DQs near the ends. This was, like, sometimes, like, they were large round-robin pools, so it's like, okay, how much are people trying? They're kind of just going through the motions. But beat Cody again. Beat Pluck. Beat Junebug in that run back. Beat Mango. Beat Sunsei. I mean, these were a lot of really good wins. Did struggle against Salt, seeming like having a bit of a Falcon problem. Did lose to Moki, someone he's lost to in the past. Lost to Moki again. Lost to Zane. I mean, this is a good bracket. Fifth doesn't seem like it's amazing, but at an invitational, you can win a lot of sets and still not do that great in final bracket. Like, this was an amazing run in the round robin phase, doing very, very well, getting winner's bracket and able to also get a Sunsei win. And yeah, was able to do very well there. Genesis was pretty solid. Another J-Mook win, looking very strong against Sheik overall. Lost to H-Box and Salt. Salt's been someone that he struggled against. Okay. And H-Box did take a set, but that is a bit of a weak matchup. Altitude Sickness beat Aura, but lost to Cody and Spark. So, sometimes, like, yeah, you can't win them all. Sometimes Fox Dittos are very going back and forth. Aura, someone that he started to have a little bit more of a rivalry, kind of like more friendly than Magi. I feel like Magi, they get a little, I want to say intense, but they're definitely a little bit more passionate. Aura's a little bit more laid back in terms of their rivalry. Did lose to Axe and Nunn. This was Nunn and Joshman's first time fighting. Nunn being more of an old school top player. Joshman recently rising, so this was kind of a surprise. Did get 13th at Battle BC. Got a Daki win, got a Max win, but ultimately losing Game 5 to both Axe and Nunn. A little disappointing. Did win Smash Camp. This one was kind of weird, just with it kind of like not really counting all the way, but ultimately did very well here. Like, if you want to do count it, yeah, the OKP win, OKP loss, not the best, but Spark, Moth, Axe, OKP, Meds twice. That's pretty good. In this Nouns Bowl was huge. 3-0ing Cody, beating J-Mook and beating Nikki, that run back from Dome Park. Did lose to Cody in Grands, almost took the set in set 2, but ultimately did not quite get that win. Moki getting that major win. It seemed like Joshman was next up, didn't quite get it. Combo Breaker did win a pretty notable event. This was when Joshman, like, this tournament was where he lost to Magi in Grands. So did get that Combo Breaker win, even though Magi wasn't in this part of the bracket. But yeah, Gommel beating Wizrobe. This was pretty good. Overcoming a bit of a difficult matchup for him personally. Also beating Ginger and Ben. Lost to Zane H-Box for 5th. That's a little tough because they were both top 3 this year. Winning the hometown tournaments, Phantom, 3rd at Collision, kind of cleaning up a lot of these players. 3-0 Magi beating Axe, Aklo Lod, lost to H-Box twice. Still very good. We're seeing a lot of consistency and a lot of matchups here. Did lose to J-Mook here, did lose to Zane Game 5, beat Morse Code, another Samus, beat Axe, seeming to have a lot more proficiency than the Pikachu matchup. And T-Glock, it was some kind of Irish tournament, but did lose to Sunsei and Slug, seeming like maybe potentially does have a Ice Climber difficulty in some ways. Also losing to Moth, losing to Triff. Did beat Ginger and Bing though, and then Nouns Invitational. This one was, I think, not quite as top heavy as the other one, but still solid. Beating Laud, Crudo, SCJ having a better year, so that win means more. Beating Moki and Fox Ditto, someone that's been a bit of a demon for him. Beat Axe again, or should be lost to Axe and then got the run back. Lost to Moki, Axe, Cody, Nikki, starting in loser's bracket, and made a pretty good run to top 6, losing the H-Box. That's going to happen. Genesis recently did beat Ossify in their first set. That was a pretty big deal. Crudo just came off of beating Moki and was able to 3-0 Crudo. Did lose to J-Mook and Salt. Salt, another person that Joshman has struggled with a little bit. And then most recently, out of the blue, did lose to Wizro, beat J-Mook to make top 8, but then lost to Ginger. So it seems like overall there's a few matchups that are a little bit more challenging for Joshman. Overall, let's go ahead and look at, instead of doing a full list of everyone I've done so far, I zoomed in to focus on just Joshman and then the 16 other players. This is lifetime. He has not taken a set against Zane. The only 2 players he hasn't beaten are the 2 Luigis, who he's never played. So that's a little bit unknown as well. But I'd say Zane, been in game 5 in the past, but a little bit of challenge. Also hasn't beaten none, but they only played once. And if I'm Joshman, and apparently this might be his last year playing, I want to face none. I want to get that set win. I want to show that I'm good. You know, there's been some trouble in the Falcon matchup between these 3 and S2J and a few other Falcons. But I think Joshman is like, you know, it's not like he's just going over. Like he's doing okay at the matchup. I know Ice Climbers has been a little bit of a concern, but I think that he can beat Dargenex. J-Mook, lifetime is losing, but recently is winning. Moki's been someone that he struggled against. Seems like he has more Cody wins than Moki wins, which is pretty surprising to me. But you know, sometimes there's some styles, some decisions, some habits that might affect things. Is positive against Student Save Magi. Good at the Puff matchup, not necessarily the H-Box matchup, but did get that win just before this cutoff at December 2024. I'm only doing this for 2025 and after. But I feel like also, you know, got a pretty recent Wizrobe win. So for Joshman, I'm feeling, I don't know. I feel like he's kind of had some early exits in top 8. I feel like that might be it again. So I have Joshman getting 7th place. I think has a lot of really good matchups here. You know, yeah, Falco's been a little bit of trouble, but he's been good against Magi overall. Won their most recent set, kind of turned things around. I feel like we'll probably do fine against Aussie main. Rad Monster, I have no idea. That is someone to where it's like I was saying, like I'm not sure if he's gonna grind out matchups very well. This might be like his big like final hurrah. I don't know if there's going to be another invitational later in the year, so maybe he will grind it out. I think Falcon is a matchup he's probably going to prepare for a lot. There's 3 different Falcons here that he's 1-4 against combined in the last like year or so. I can see him wanting to get that Zane win. There's a lot of things that I can see him wanting to do. He probably feels fine in the Sheik matchup, and it's only J-Mook. So I feel like if he's practicing matchups, it's probably going to be for like Falcon, H-Box, and Zane. I feel like he's pretty confident in the Fox matchup, and there's 4 Foxes, so he can get some games in. I feel like he's doing fine against Aura, so it's unclear. I worry that he will get beat by Rat Monster. Not that I would prefer Rat Monster in BBA shutouts, but I do like Joshman, and I do think he is someone that is upsettable. We've seen the loss to Junebug and all that kind of stuff, and yeah, so I do think that as someone possible to lose there. Let's go ahead and zoom out, kind of look at the full scope of things. Does have some losses overall. We see a lot more green for some players. So Lifetime has had some struggles, but has been doing very well recently against some people. I guess this is actually a blue, my bad. But yeah, a few people he hasn't played. A few people haven't played very much. So I'd be very interesting to see how that would go. I do think that Joshman is probably going to get 7th. I do think there's potential. I mean, recently he's been doing very well, but I think he'll probably get top 8 and kind of bow out there. But I could be wrong. Very interested to see how he does. I hope, even if he doesn't continue playing, I love his commentary. He's hilarious. So I would love to hear him on the mic more. Australia is closer to the west coast of America, so if he goes to Genesis, goes to these other tournaments, I would not be opposed to him commentating. I think that'd be cool. And yeah, want to see more from Joshman.